Day 917, part 2. So I've talked in the past about practicing strength skill in a fatigued state, and that's what's going on today. So I just finished my 30K bike, I did my 120 toes to bar and my bird dogs, and so now, after a couple warm-up sets, I got my new working weights of the 75s here, and I'm doing 10 sets of triples. What I'm trying to focus on with each set of triples is I'm trying to make sure, number one, I grip the dumbbells as hard as possible to enhance my shoulder stability, as well as to increase my neural drive. Then secondly, I want to make sure that I dig my heels, well, my whole feet really, into the ground so that I have leg drive to keep my butt and hips down on the bench. Then another performance factor is I don't want to flare my elbows out too much. As you can see, they kind of tuck in a little bit, almost like a 45-degree angle, similar to the angle that I would do when doing a push-up or a bench press. And then speaking of bench press, my lats are functioning in much the same manner as they would when you're peeling the bar off the rack for your initial descent. I keep my lats tight, and then as my elbows come in, it's almost like my lats are doing a pullover motion to control the dumbbells down so that I have extra shoulder stability in the bottom when I have to reverse them. And I keep going on and on about stability, folks, but that's key when you're recovering from a pec tear. Which leads me to the final performance factor, which is a full range of motion. I've said in previous videos, when I was a much younger lifter many years ago, I would basically just come down to where my elbows were parallel with the marching surface. But now what I try to do is to make sure that the ends of the dumbbells touch the sides of my chest so that I'm as strong in the hole where I was previously compromised as I am moving towards the top when I have my front delts and my triceps to kind of act as a spot. And this, folks, is really why full range of motion is, generally speaking, a good idea, barring some sport-specific type of movements. Because most life, most athletics, most sports, fighting, it's all reversal strength. It's all eccentric, breaking of force, and then an explosive reversal, an explosive concentric. Throwing a ball, throwing a punch, changing direction, kicking, landing from a jump, etc., etc. So that was 10 sets of triples with the dumbbells. Then after that, I did 5 sets of this machine Lifefitness lateral raise. Like I mentioned in previous videos, again, I want to increase my stability as much as possible, even though I kind of have a fixed groove with the machine, by digging my feet into the ground, as well as leaning into that pad and then gripping hard onto the handles as well. I've been doing these pretty frequently, so I had to increase the weight to remain in the 10 to 15 rep range at 1 to 2 RIR on these. It's a machine, it's stable, so it's relatively safe to have a closer proximity to failure, in my opinion. All right, so after the triples for pressing and the direct side delt work, I did some tricep work with overhead cable rope extensions. Now, when you do tricep work in the overhead position, that tends to emphasize the long head. Now, the long head gets a lot of action when you do your pressing, particularly if you press kind of with a closer grip, and or if you're like me and you have narrow clavicles, so you kind of press partially with your chest and a little bit more with your delts and triceps. But you also get some marginal amount of long head stimulation doing your lat work, coincidentally. My arms are already kind of smoked, so I did these in sets of 10. Again, 1 to 2 RIR, relatively close to failure. And then I finished off not with Louis or barbell push-ups, but just with regular old-fashioned push-ups, army style. At this point, everything involved is pretty smoked: shoulders, chest, arms. So I just repped them out till basically failure, which didn't take much. All 5 sets were in the 15 to 20 rep range, and then that was pretty much it. So that, folks, ended up being 25 total sets post-conditioning, 10 sets of triples, and then 15 sets in 3 exercises, 4 accessories. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment to support the YouTube channel. Consistency is a superpower. Stay in the fight.